Good afternoon, everybody. It's Terry Walsh. I'm glad to see you today. This video is to update you on Wednesday, November 9th. I'm glad to see you today. I do have some information to share with you. Financially, we did receive our results for November. So for last month, we missed our budget by about $20,000, so that's better than what we've been missing the budget by before. But still, we missed our budget by about $20,000 in November. Overall, still for the year, so 5 months into the fiscal year, we're about $250,000 below where we budgeted to be for this year. Now, as you know, COVID expenses are included in that, so we've spent about $200,000 in COVID expenses that we've not been reimbursed for. But our revenue in our care center, because of the isolation requirement and the inability to use all of our beds in the care center, has produced a loss of revenue or a reduction in revenue in the care center by about $400,000. So where we take steps forward, we're also taking steps backwards. It's like we're swimming upstream, but the current is still pushing us back a little bit. So overall, still for this year, we're about $250,000 behind on our budget for this campus for this year so far. I anticipate that improving as we move into the new care center, but that's where we stand today. It's not the picture we wanted it to be, but it could be worse. We've got all those COVID expenses that we're still spending money on with all the testing and the guard staff and PPE expenses, and the loss of revenue in the care center, and even some vacancies in independent living and assisted living that we've not been able to fill because the people out in the community aren't ready to move into senior living during COVID, and that's a challenge that we're dealing with and working on that. Overall, we have had a few sales recently, but not enough to fill up everything that we've been vacating over time. But I have a positive outlook, and I think we're going to do fine before the fiscal year's over, but overall, that's where we stand today. I think we're all looking forward on Saturday to our drive-through Christmas parade. It's the same sort of format that we followed for Mother's Day. The parade will begin at 1:30 on Saturday, so cars should line up prior to that, and they line up on the main street coming in, just like they did last time. So if you have friends or family that are planning to participate in the Christmas parade, the drive-through Christmas parade on Saturday, you might want to tell them to get here a little bit early so that they can get lined up, because I anticipate there will be a large crowd, just like there was for Mother's Day, where we had 300 to 400 cars driving through. I think you've all been provided a map of the route for the parade, so you should be able to use that map and identify the best places to stand. The cars won't be able to obviously go by every single side of every building, so if you're planning to look out your window at the parade, you might miss it if you're looking out the wrong side of your building. So I would anticipate that you would want to look at that map and try to find a great spot to stand. And of course, we want to maintain social distancing and not clustering into groups during the parade, and of course no contact with anyone that's in any of the cars going by, just like we did for Mother's Day. It's a replay of that. We are going to have some drink carts, if you will, driving around. I'm going to be on one of them, and we'll be serving some hot cider as we drive around the parade route to help keep you warm during the parade, but that's going to be exciting. As far as our continental breakfast, I know you're still having continental breakfast delivered to your apartments right now. That's going to end starting Monday the 14th. So starting next Monday, we're going to reopen the bistro and the crossing where you would file through and pick up your continental breakfast. We're going to start that again next Monday on the 14th, where you'll be able to file through and then select your items for your continental breakfast again next Monday. Our COVID status right now is much better than we've had over the last couple of weeks. It's not perfect, but it's better. All of our numbers are coming down. At this point in time, literally right on the campus, we don't have any independent living residents living in their apartments right now who have COVID-19. However, we do have 5 independent living residents that are in higher levels of care with COVID-19. We have 4 residents who have been to the hospital and are now in the Village Care Center being treated for COVID-19 and recovering there. And we have 1 other independent living resident who's still in the hospital at this point. So we have 5 independent living residents who have COVID-19. None of them are currently in their independent living apartments. They're either in the care center or in the hospital. But right now on our campus, in our independent living community, we don't have any positive COVID-19 residents quarantining or recovering from COVID-19, and that's a great blessing for us. We had a swell of COVID-19 positive residents and those who we were afraid might have COVID-19 over the past couple of weeks, and now that number has come way down to where it is now. In our Village Care Center, the large number of residents who had COVID-19, many of them have recovered now, and there's only a small number of residents in the care center currently that still have COVID-19. Most of them have graduated from their recovery. And similarly, in assisted living, we have a very small number of residents who are still positive for COVID-19, 1 or 2 or maybe 3, but otherwise everybody's graduated from COVID-19 in the assisted living. So we've seemed to have gotten over the hump of the swell of COVID-19 that we've had on campus over the last couple of weeks. But I will also say that we have had a lot of residents pass away, and you've probably seen notifications of that, and we're very sad for this to have happened. We've had, in this month alone, so far in December, we've had 13 residents pass away just in December at various levels of care within the campus, not just in independent living or in the skilled nursing facility or in assisted living, but all together on the campus. We've had 13 residents pass away just in December already. Where does that put us for the year? Overall for the year, normally, 2 years ago, we had a total of 96 residents pass away. Last year, we had a total of 93 residents pass away. And so far this year, now we're almost at the end of the year, so maybe we'll make it okay, and I pray that we do. But so far this year, we've had 88 residents pass away. So we're actually right around the normal expectation or the normal number of residents who have passed in any given year, even with COVID-19. Throughout the course of most of the year, we are approaching our normal number, but we're not quite there yet, and let's pray that we don't get there. But even with COVID-19, I am personally a little bit surprised that we haven't already exceeded numbers from the most recent 2 years. And I think that that's a good news story, even as sad as we are for the passing of our fellow residents on the campus, which of course we don't like to see that. And our staff has been doing everything we possibly can to try to keep everybody healthy and active. On another note, on Thursday at 10 in the morning, you'll be able to see on Channel 900 the video of thanks and the presentation of the resident and employee Christmas gift. You know, all of the funds that you contributed to the Resident Christmas Gift Fund are being distributed to all of our employees, and there's a video that will show on Channel 900 at 10 o'clock on Thursday morning, tomorrow morning, where you'll be able to see how that process went. Even though normally we would meet in the ballroom and you watch every single employee walk across the stage and receive their envelope. Obviously with COVID-19 we're not able to do that, but so we did it a little bit differently, and you'll be able to see some of that on video on Thursday morning at 10 o'clock with directors from all the departments representing all of their employees receiving your generous gifts. You collected, by the way, and you contributed a record amount of money this year, and you're going to hear about that on the video at 10 o'clock on Thursday morning. I do want to give you a little bit of information about the upcoming COVID-19 vaccines. Now, we've all been watching the news, and we know that the vaccines are poised and ready to begin hitting the market. very soon. We are on the list. We've already confirmed with the state of Missouri and with the government contractor who's going to be administering the vaccinations for our campus, who in our case, it's going to be Walgreens. We've already been in communications with them, and we are working on our plan for how we're going to do this. Now, Walgreens is actually going to be on campus and will actually administer the vaccinations. It won't be our staff doing that. They're really doing all of it from beginning to end. But we do know that we do not anticipate having anybody from Walgreens administering any vaccines on our campus before December 21st. So even though those vaccines might be distributed and leave the warehouses, the national warehouses, from Pfizer and Moderna and whoever else is supplying them, by the time it filters down to the states and filters down to Walgreens and CVS pharmacies and the other distributors, we don't anticipate having any shots available on this campus until December 21st. And of course, then we also know that residents in skilled nursing facilities, so our Village Care Center, and in our assisted living facility at Fountain View will be first on the list. That's the way the government has set up the prioritization for the vaccinations. So care center residents and assisted living residents and care center employees and assisted living employees will be first on the campus to receive the vaccinations. We still do not have exact information on how we're going to accommodate residents who are in independent living. There are multiple phases for the distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine. And the first phase 1A, so phase 1 has 3 parts. So phase 1A is for skilled nursing facilities and assisted living facilities. Phase 1B are for essential workers in essential industries. So that would include employees of power plants, for example, or major food manufacturers. And then phase 1C is for all other seniors over the age of 65 who are at risk for coronavirus. That would include you as independent living residents. We do not yet know when the availability of the vaccine is going to be possible for all of our independent living residents. As soon as we know that, we will of course let you know. We also don't know if we're going to be able to administer those on campus or whether you'll have to go off campus. It's too early to tell. Right now, the government is completely focused on getting the vaccines to the skilled nursing facilities and to the assisted living facilities and those employees. And that's their focus right now. We do not have answers yet on independent living. But you can rest assured we are doing everything we can to make sure that you are well accommodated for the vaccine. You also should know that it is all completely voluntary. Nobody is required to get the vaccine. So even our residents in our care centers, their power of attorney, their attorneys in fact, have to also consent to them getting the COVID vaccine. They don't have to consent if they don't like. And right now, one of the rules is anyone who has been positive for COVID-19 for less than 2 weeks at the time of the vaccination is not to get the vaccination at that point in time. They can get one at a later time. But if they're within a 2-week window of having tested positive for COVID-19, they won't be getting the shot at that particular time. Right now, we shouldn't have anybody in that category in our care center or in assisted living, but that's one of the rules. But if someone has already had COVID-19 and supposedly has immunity, there's no prohibition on that person getting a COVID-19 vaccination. In fact, the scientists tell us that it does help actually make your immunity stronger, even if you've had COVID-19 and you get the vaccination also, that those two combinations actually make you even stronger and better immune to any future COVID-19 infections in the future. So I would encourage everybody to voluntarily accept the COVID-19 vaccination. I know as soon as I'm able to get a shot, I'm taking one, because I want to get this over with and get some immunity going so I don't have to keep fretting about whether I'm ever going to get it or not. And so I can tell you, even though it's going to be voluntary for our employees, we're encouraging them highly to voluntarily take the vaccine, and I know that I'm going to be doing that myself. I think I've covered almost everything I was going to cover in this particular presentation. I know we've had some difficulty with sound, with videos coming out of the chapel. We're getting that fixed tomorrow. Our IT vendor, Tech Electronics, knows that there's a problem with the system. It wasn't a user error or somebody not pushing a button. It was the new system that we literally just had installed, and everything seemed to be working well during testing, but not in practice. So they've come back, and hopefully they'll have it fixed, and we will make sure that you're able to see that with all the appropriate sound the next time that we broadcast something from the chapel. But in the meantime, we did record those chapel services, and I know they played on Channel 900, and the sound was working fine with the recording off of YouTube. I hope this has been informative for you. Some of you are going to be able to take tours of the care center, the new care center, on Friday, if not all of you. I think we've assigned those by the building that you happen to live in, rather than individual time on the clock for individual residents. That was a little bit untenable, but now I think we're doing it in groups, and I think that's going to be on Friday. So if you don't know if you're able to go on Friday for a tour, contact Brittany in the sales office and ask her when your building is slotted to go into the care center to take a tour. You will be flabbergasted. You'll be amazed at what you see in there. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful building. We're in the final stretches of getting ready for the last inspections in the care center. So I think today, by the time you see this video, the food inspector from the county will be there inspecting the kitchen. And we've got county inspectors and state inspectors coming to do their final inspections over the next week or so. And we do hope that we will be able to start moving residents into the new care center after the 15th, probably. Between the 15th and Christmas, hopefully we'll begin moving new residents into the care center, or residents into the new care center, and we can get it all operational and ready to go. We're still looking for more employees. If you have any relatives, grandchildren, or children, or anyone else who is looking for some work and could do what we're asking them to do in our new care centers here on campus, then send them over to our HR department, and let's get them hired, and let's get them here to work. We need employees all the time, and particularly in the care center as we open up more beds. We're going from 118 beds to 144 beds. I can't wait for that to happen. It's going to help us a lot with our COVID-19 challenge with the isolation requirements, since we'll have private rooms in there, plus just having a new state-of-the-art building where everything is the latest version of all of the things that we've been trying to use in the current care center. It's just nice to be able to move into a new building and have all of the newest equipment and supplies that we need to have in there. So I think it's going to be wonderful. I hope you've been able to get around and see the campus and all the Christmas decorations. I think it's going to be a beautiful Christmas holiday. We are keeping our no visitor policy in effect for a little while. We haven't determined whether we're going to be able to open up the visitor policy before Christmas. We're not sure we're going to be able to do that. I don't want to promise that we will, because right now it seems to be working, and we're keeping COVID off the campus at this point. Our numbers have gone down. We haven't had any new outbreaks of COVID-19, and I almost hate to ruin a good thing. But I also know that Christmas is coming up, and a lot of you would like to show off your units to your families. So we're wrestling with what we're going to do with that. We're not sure yet, but at this point in time, at least for the next week, we're going to keep our no visitor policy in place and still prohibit that. But I think we've already figured out, and I know a lot of you have figured out, the drop-off program at the clubhouse entrance, and many of you are being very successful at doing that. I saw somebody running off to their apartment with a box of, or a carton of ice cream the other day before it melted, but your timing was impeccable, making sure that you picked it up from the person who was delivering it to you just in time for you to get it off to your freezer in your apartment, which is perfect. I encourage everybody to be that organized and swift to be able to do that. We have our special Christmas dinner that's going to be delivered to everybody on December 22nd. I think that's going to be fun in a special event. But what I'm really most looking forward to is the Christmas parade on Saturday afternoon. I'm going to be here. I can't wait to see all of you. Bundle up, bring a lawn chair out, find your best spot on the sidewalk or your balcony or on the grass or someplace to watch the cars go by. Call your families, call your friends, have them decorate their car and have them hop in line, probably between 1 and 1:15 on Saturday, because on Saturday at 1:30 we're going to open the gate. The starting point is down at the far end of the campus by Fountain View, and that's where they're going to come in and then circle around the entire campus. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to do it. That was a great time on Mother's Day, and we're going to do it again Saturday. So if you haven't told your family yet, you got to tell them so they can get their posters made and everything else ready to go. And I think we're all going to have a good time. But wear your coat, bundle up, bring your lawn chair, and enjoy the time. Happy to see you. I'll see you around the campus. It's nice to see all of you out and about now without having the voluntary self-quarantine. Let's continue to do everything we can to keep it that way by wearing our masks whenever we're out of our apartments, by hand sanitizing or washing your hands as frequently as you possibly can, by making no contact with other people, and by maintaining your social distancing. You've been doing a great job of that. We have tamped down that firestorm that we had of COVID-19, and we got it back under control, and we want to keep it under control as best we can. And I have to count on you to help us do that. Again, on behalf of the employees, thank you for your contributions for your Christmas gift. Watch Channel 900 at 10 o'clock on Thursday morning, and you can watch some of that presentation for your contributions for that. Have a great afternoon. Good to see you again, and I'll see you around the campus. I'll see you Saturday for the parade. Bye now.